Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, good morning. Good to see everybody. So we're going to continue from last week's sicha. We're in parshas Emor, and this is a pretty foundational sicha where the Rebbi talks about. It continues actually. He begins in parshas Achrei Kedoshim, which we did not discuss. We were not together for that, but where he talks that the word for Geulah, Gimel Aleph. Gimel Aleph Lamed Hey is the same letters as Geulah, as Gimel Lamed Hey. Gimel Lamed Hey and Gimel Aleph Lamed Hey are the same letters except for the Aleph. So exile, the word for exile, Geulah, and the word for redemption, Geulah, is the same word with an Aleph in the Geulah. And so that is an indication that the state of being of Geulah and Geulah, of exile and redemption, the differences in the state of being is not very different. It's actually pretty, like, we think we're gonna like blast off to some, living in the clouds and riding, magic carpets or something. That's not what's indicated by this observation, by this reality, that the word for exile is basically 3 out of 4 the same letters of exile, just with an aleph added. And so that's the trick. The trick is to add the aleph, and when we add the aleph, we can then move automatically, basically, from a state of exile to a state of redemption. No.
Okay, let me get it out of the way.
Okay. And so we discussed how where do we see that? We discussed how the Mitzrim, the Egyptians, when we left exile, when we had our first redemption, right? The redemption that started all the redemptions, that opened the faucet for the possibility of the future of all the redemptions and the future redemption, and serves as a template for the final redemption. We see that when the Mitzrim were at their end, when the plague of the firstborn had struck, and that next morning, the Jews were asked by Moshe, who was asked by God, to request from the Egyptians to hand over their gold and silver, all their precious property, and that the Mitzrim did it happily. They did it even more than what the Jews asked for. They gave them, and the Jews then took that out with them and then used that for Avodas Hashem. And so the material, the raw material, the treasure of exile, the property of exile, the raw goods of exile are taken up with Geulah. And the Egyptians, who were the mechanism of the exile, they, once Geulah was visible, once Geulah was totally, that was it. They were going out of Egypt. The Egyptians who gave them, unless they chased them at the sea, they were done. That was it. This was the redemption. Hashem, the Aleph had been put into the exile. They saw that Hashem was running the world. There was no other power but Hashem, at least for that moment. And they gave their goods over, say, this is yours. There wasn't a compulsion, there wasn't a pressuring. We weren't holding a gun to their head. We, in fact, didn't even want to ask for them. And I imagine the part of the reason we didn't want to ask the Egyptians for this stuff was because we had probably been deriding and ridiculing their stuff in our homes. Oh, those Egyptians, they got all that gold and silver, and they're so materialistic. They're so into Avodah Zarah. They're so into their gold and Ugh, who wants any of that? Gashmiya stuff. And here, no, you have to take that with you. That's for you.
I don't agree with your premise.
What's the premise?
That they were scorning the Egyptians, those Gashmias Egyptians.
You don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to. I don't have a source for that. I'm simply, because, first of all, they did have to be asked by Moshe to do this. They did not want to do that, okay? So you have to explain why they didn't want to.
Wait a minute. Do you think they didn't want to?
They didn't. The Gemara says it clearly. The Hashem asked Moshe, no, please ask the Jews to go ask the Egyptians for their stuff. The Jews did not want to, and
how would the Jews have even had a premise to until they were asked?
It was a proposition that the Jews were not comfortable with. At the end of the day, the Torah is telling us that it was an activity that the Jews were not comfortable with doing. Once they were told they should do it, they weren't comfortable. They had to be asked very nicely to do it because they were not comfortable with it. And they had to, make all these, because Abraham was promised, Avram was promised that we were going to leave with the Ruach Gadol, and we have to do that. But the Jews, from themselves, were not comfortable with doing it. Okay? So why weren't they comfortable with doing it? Well, I imagine they weren't comfortable with doing it because, maybe they felt bad for the Egyptians. They were so punished, and they just lost all their firstborn, and here they are going, could we also take your stuff? But I would imagine that if I transplant that onto modern day our psyche, what that equivalence to is like all the Goyish stuff that the Jews are deriding or scorning or saying it's all tuma, it's all horrible, it's all terrible. It could be that that's what we have to lift up. Those things are the things we have to lift up. The sports stadiums, the theaters, the museums, that we are going to have to lift those up and bring them back to their original source and devote those things to avodas Hashem. Things that we've said, treif, shrutzim, skutzim, the things that we deride about the secular world or the non-Jewish world, we are going to have to bring up. We're going to have to bring up. Hashem's going to have to say, no, that's not all going in the garbage. That stuff's not all going in the garbage. You have to uplift that. You have to use that for avodas Hashem. The things that we've been deriding, all these charedim and me'asharim are going to have to get, they're going to have to go on TV to teach Torah. They're going to have to go online and teach Torah online. These people who said chayim usharim bli yisratim, I'm not arguing with them. I'm just saying the internet and the technology that they are so scorning and so scornful of, at Geulah put the aleph beg and they're going to have to use it for avodas Hashem. So I'm just saying that maybe the Jews were not comfortable with asking the Egyptians for their stuff.
I would think they'd be quite uncomfortable.
They would be quite uncomfortable. And maybe part of that discomfort is because they never thought that was like for them. They never thought that was for us and for redemption. And it actually is the exact opposite. That the Jews gave the Egyptians all of that stuff in order for us to take out. And this is, we talked about last week that Hashem, when He created the world, He hid or buried, or there were buried 288 sparks, Reish Pei Ches sparks were hidden, were buried in the klipa, in the throughout the whole world, all the peoples, and Egypt had 202 of those sparks. They had 202 of those sparks, and so when we took out their stuff, that was a physical representation of the sparks that we were uplifting and taking out with us. Okay, what does it mean to lift up the sparks? What does it mean? Maybe we've heard this expression, you got to lift the sparks, the sparks and everything, we have to lift them up. So there are 86 sparks left for the rest of the Jewish history to uplift, okay? We got 202 in Egypt, we got those taken care of, and Hashem put those sparks there for us to uplift, and then there are 86 left.
85, I got one from Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I brought it here.
Okay, so you got it already, okay?
Yeah.
But Sachakol, there are 86. Altogether, there's 86. When we go through something difficult, and we hold on to Amunah, we hold on to whatever level, Amunah, seeing that Hashem is running the show, that there's no other power but Hashem, we successfully extract that spark. That's how we extract a spark. By going through difficulty, by going through darkness, and maintaining or finding a way to see Hashem, that this is all from Hashem, that there's no other power, and when we can overcome that darkness, eventually having held on to some modicum of faith, we have thereby uplifted that spark and returned it to its source and show that there's no, what is it? Otherwise, what is it? Otherwise, it's just this other power that's doing this to me. there's this other thing that's doing this to me. No, Hashem's doing this to me. Hashem's putting me in this situation. I'm in this situation because Hashem is here and He wants me to uplift whatever negativity is going on here, and to see that Hashem is the only power here. That I uplift that stressful situation. I uplift that darkness, that difficulty. So that's the first part of this sicha that we discussed last week, that we put the aleph back into Geulah, alufa sha'olam. We have to see that Hashem is running everything. When we see that there is nothing, no other power other than Hashem, that is how we are bringing Geulah to the world. And that we talked about doing things lishma. We talked about singing. When we're seeing anything, we don't think that there's any other power. Not the bank manager, not the wife, not the ex-wife, not the kids, not the in-laws. Nobody has power. If I'm resentful at anybody, then I'm not holding by putting the aleph into Geulah. I'm still in exile. If I am resentful, if I'm angry at people, if I'm angry at people, resentful at people, annoyed with, if I'm blaming people, if I'm blaming myself, then I am in exile. Because I think I'm putting power on these people, I'm putting power on myself. What happened. And everybody is a shaliach, including us. There's a shaliach, we're a shaliach for Hashem. My mother-in-law is a shaliach for Hashem. What, I'm going to be angry with her? I'm going to be angry with my kids, with my wife? Like what? I'm going to be bent out of shape for years because, they did that to me? I think they're a separate power than the Rebbeinu Shalom. So I'm living in exile. Pashut exile. When I put the alufa shel olam, when I put the aleph, when I put Hashem back and realize there is no other kayach than Hashem, there is no other power. No one has the power to rip me off, to give me a hard time, to knock me down. No one. Hashem has the power, and He did that. Whatever problem I went through, whatever pain that I suffered, has nothing to do with this person really. It's Hashem sending it to me to uplift the sparks and say, Hashem, you did this to me. Why? I have a mentor who says, whenever anything you're upset about something, ask yourself, who is sending this to me, and why? Who is sending this to me? It's not my wife. It's not my in-laws. It's not the bank. It's Hashem sending this to me. Why? Because He wants me to grow. He wants me to grow. He wants me to forgive. He wants me to see. He wants me to respond from a place of mindfulness. And when I do that, and when I see that Hashem is really the source of everything, even all the crud and crap, then I uplift the sparks there, and I uplift the gullus, the exile that I've been suffering in. Blaming everybody, blaming myself, that's exile. And when I say, Hashem, there's nothing else but you here, and you have a very, very particularly good, amazing purpose for having put me through this suffering at the hands of Yenim, the hands of whoever it is. You put me through that. You put me through that. It's much more enlightened to be angry with Hashem than it is to be angry with a person. Much more enlightened. If you need to start with being angry with Hashem, start with being angry with Hashem. Why not? At least you got the right address.
So I say, I put myself through that by the choices I made, and that's Hashem's reaction to me. It's on me. It's not on Hashem.
Okay, that's a level. That's a level. You're not playing victim to other people, but we also need to be very much careful about how the Yetzer Hara tricks us with our guilt. Okay? We have to be very, very careful. I'm not saying anybody in particular, but I'm saying that when we take so much responsibility for the situations that we are in, thinking, it's because I did that bad and that. So we can end up creating, that's a trick that our Yetzer Hara has, by sticking our face in it. Sticking our face and blaming us, and that is only to perpetuate the situation and it does not help us get out of it. As much as we think that if I really take responsibility, I really feel bad about what I did, and then that's how I'm going to extract myself from the situation. Where the Yetzer Hara, it's a very, very, very sneaky trick of the Yetzer Hara to use it was my choice, and I did this to myself, and I'm so bad, or I'm so this, or whatever, and my whole avoda tanks. Because I have taken all of this responsibility and I'm blaming myself and kicking myself, and so you have to be worried. You have to be worried about that. You have to be careful about that.
Are you saying it's better to blame Hashem than take responsibility for something that you know you did wrong?
Listen, if we know we did something wrong, we do tshuva.
Yeah, and
that's it.
That's part of the tshuva.
Fine. Well, part of the tshuva, yes, is regretting. We regret what we did. But the Tanya speaks at length about how we need to be careful. We need to have a very specific time, limited time a day that we engage in self-criticism. Okay? Okay? There's tshuva, but no point of tshuva is necessarily beating yourself up. Okay? And everyone has to realize that no matter where they got to, no matter what quote-unquote choices they made and bad decisions that they took upon themselves and things that happened to them, Hashem, that's the past. Right now I'm here. Right now I'm here in the mud. Now what? I'm going to just keep kicking myself about how it's all my fault that I'm here in the mud. That's going to sink us deeper into the mud. Period. We need to uplift ourselves out of the mud. Hashem, you have put me here because you love me, because you have hope, because you have hope in me, you believe in me, and even though it looks terrible here, I know you're the only power here, and I want to return to you. By continually make this about my ego and what I screwed up and how I did this wrong and how I'm paying for it, and it might as well be my mother-in-law, it might as well be the bank manager, because I'm still hung up on blaming somebody, as opposed to seeing Hashem. Okay, mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. You are not giving up on me. You are doing that. I am here in this situation because you want me to be, because this is the best thing for me to get closer to you. Show me how to get close to you. Show me how I can. There is no other power than you. I can't do anything so terrible that you're rejecting me. This is not a rejection. This is not a necessarily even a punishment. It could be that you want me. There are two things. Why do bad things happen to people? Says the Chovos HaLevavos. To anybody. Why do bad things happen to people? It's either because it's a punishment, it's a mishpat, or it's chesed ve'emes. It's either emes because you did something wrong. You have to. Hashem is doing a chesed by helping you out of there. That's emes. And then there's a chesed, which is that because you're going through this difficulty, you're going to be able to get a much bigger olam haba. Okay, meaning you have a difficulty. You let's say you broke your ankle, God forbid. Okay, so how are you dealing with breaking your ankle? There's no punishment there. It's because Hashem wants to put you in such a situation for the way that you deal with it, and the way that how you uplift others, and how you put a smile on your face, and how you try to muster up a gamza l'toiva. That is why He did it to you. So you could build yourself. So you could build your emunah. You could build your bitachon. So that's chesed. There's chesed ve'emes. So it's either of those two reasons. But neither of them, whether it's a kapara, whether you're getting kapara from it because it was of something you did. So the Chovos HaLevavos says this clearly. In Cheshbon Nefesh, he says this clearly. He says you're not going to get the benefits of it, which are the kapara, the atonement, the whatever the punishment is supposed to do. You're not going to get that, and you're not going to get the olam haba and all the gifts of whatever you could be, unless you accept it with love. If you accept it with love, even you try to accept it with love, you have one begrudging, gamza l'tova, okay, gamza l'tova. Even that, whatever we can muster to see that this is, to accept this with love and to see that this is Hashem doing it, even though I can't understand it and it hurts like hell, it's for my good, then we achieve the benefit of it. Either the kapara, the atonement, or the the growth, the personal growth. And so that should be our attitude when we're dealing with difficult things. Hashem is bringing this to me for my benefit. And the way I extract that benefit, because I don't really know why I did it. You're so clear, it's because you did that choice. It's a punishment. Okay, well, maybe you have nevuah. Maybe you know. Maybe Eliyahu Navi told you that, then fine. But otherwise, we don't know why anything negative, so unquote, negative happens to us. It could be because of something we did, or it could be because he wants us to grow someplace more. And we can't get to either of those outcomes unless we put the alufo shel olam, unless we put the aleph in it and see that this exile that we're in, that we don't know why we're in it, that Hashem is doing it to me and it's for my good. Gamza Latova, even though I don't feel it, I get the kapara. I get the uplift.
Well,
Okay.
I just don't know. I know a rabbi that changed my life. A rabbi that Chabad does so much good, and his daughter dies at 6 or 7. I hear what you're saying, but I don't get it. I can't wrap my.
Why do you have to get it? Is there a mitzvah to get it?
I just don't understand it. How somebody, such a good person, that changes everybody's life and this and that, has to have that happen to him. I don't get it.
So do you think that Hashem? So what are the options that you have in front of you? Hashem was like taking a day off that day that happened, or that Hashem is cruel, or what are the options?
How does this rabbi deserve something like that? It's one thing if you die when you're 90, but to die when you're 6 or 7.
So you're saying deserves. So you're saying that if somebody suffers, and I'm not trying to, God forbid, we should not have to go through anything close to that amount of pain and suffering, but deserve that. That's as if it's. I understand it feels bad. But that could be. We have no. Listen, when we look back at even the worst parts of our lives, the most difficult things. Okay, I'm not saying that. I wish you would have. I wouldn't have changed anything. If I could bring, obviously, a child that's nifta, like there's nothing else really that can amount to that amount of pain, but it's we have no idea what her tafkid was. That she was finished with what she needed to do. She needed to have 6 years in a beautiful, amazing home, and that's it. And he and that family and all the siblings and all the loved ones and all the things. It must have been really big because a lot of people were negatively affected by it, and you're negatively affected. And now you have.
If it wasn't for her passing, I would not be sitting here right now.
And you still have a question.
It's kind of a high price to pay for this rabbi. And his
You have
family.
no idea. You have absolutely no idea what. You have no idea. You have no idea. But you see just you're one shining example of the good that came out of it that otherwise would not have happened. Now, did she needed to have died for that to happen? No, not necessarily. But we don't know what. Like this is like where we kind of have to turn off our minds, where we think we need to understand everything and say, listen, it feels like crap. No, it doesn't seem like this is the good thing to happen, but this is for Hashem did this, and it's for the good. Okay, to be angry with the doctors, to be angry with the whatever the circumstances, the driver, the this, the that. To be angry with them is to be in exile, and to see the Aleph, the Alufa Shel Olam, and see that this was Hashem, and that process is a process of redemption. That's a process of redemption and redeeming even these ostensibly horrible situations. Okay?
Yeah.
Why do we have to go through Egypt? I mean, Egypt was a horrible situation. Why do we have to go through that? We had to go through that. We had to purify. There was a purifying situation that we had to go through. Why did it have to be like that? Why did it have to be like that? Okay. So now we said that there were 3 levels of this Aleph. The Rebbi says there are 3 levels of this Aleph in putting the Aleph into exile. The first level is putting the Aleph into the word to make redemption, is putting the Alufu Shalom, putting Hashem there, seeing Hashem, bringing up everything to Hashem. The second is, and we talked about, that's how we see Hashem in everything. The second is the Aleph of Ulpana, Aleph Ulpana, Ulfana, okay, of learning. Miloshin ulpana v'limud, alefcha chachma v'lefcha bina. Okay, what is that?
We don't know. This is Rabbi Akiva Yeshiva.
Right. I don't know what it is either.
It actually makes me feel better.
Okay, so let's go here. So he says, "Mikevan shagula amitis v'shlema ba al yidei Mashiach tzidkenu." The gula is coming through al yidei Mashiach tzidkenu. Muvan shegam b'Mashiach yeshes shloshin yonim elu. He has these 3 aleph shel geula. Obekaktim adiuk divrei Rama. First, we're going to say that the Melech HaMashiach hu mibnei David umizera Shlomo. What does the Rambam mean when he says the Mashiach is coming mi beis David umizera Shlomo? What do you mean, mi beis David? That's all you have to say.
Gas.
That's refrigerator barking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got gas.
It wants to be fed.
Yeah.
The l'chayra eino muvan. Mashu kosev mi beis David. Why he writes mi beis David, right? That's kamashu kosev gam king b'sefer hayad. Hari zemi pnei shebeis David hu ikra malchus. Right? It's beis David. But now, what does he say? Mizera Shlomo. So we have to say v'yesh Shlomo b'pnimis enyanim. What's the deeper understanding here is that when Shlomo was king, Shlomo HaMelech was king, it was like the time of Geulah. Shlomo HaMelech, when was there a time in history that it was the closest model for when Mashiach comes? That is when Shlomo HaMelech was king. When Shlomo HaMelech was king, there was world peace. He was able to build the Beis HaMikdash. There was no wars. There was no fighting. There was no discord. Everybody was happy. That was Ke'en Mashiach, Bimos Mashiach, when Shlomo HaMelech. So that's what he's saying. The Mashiach has to be not just mi beis David, but he has to be mizera Shlomo. He has to be from the seed of Shlomo, because Shlomo HaMelech, his reign expressed the closest the earth has seen to this life, this Geulah. Okay. It's me'ain the shalom and the shlemus and the perfection of the shalom for the future to come. Because he had shlemus hachachma. So right, we're talking about that there's a learning part. First we see that Hashem is everything, and that's a bittul. That's really a bittul. We have to be mevatel ourselves. We have to nullify ourselves because, darn it, it hurts. It hurts. I don't get it. I don't understand. If I were writing the script, it wouldn't have this girl dying. It wouldn't have these situations happening. It wouldn't have that. But I'm not writing the script. I'm nullifying I'm putting my script writer, like what's that thing on the desk? It says who you are and what your position is, your
nameplate.
Your nameplate. I'm putting that in the drawer. Place card. I'm pulling that in the drawer. I'm not the screenwriter. I'm not the director. I'm not the producer. That's nullifying. That's being mevatel myself. That as terrible and painful as that feels, as this seems, Hashem is doing it, and it's for the good. That is the bittul. Now there's the chachma, the alefcha. The aleph is the learning. This new Torah. Bisma, what? Okay. Shlomo Melech wasn't just the king; he also had this perfection of chachma, and more than this, v'teir of chachmas shloimi mikol chachmas Mitzrayim. He had more chachma than all the chachma in Mitzrayim. This was the aleph chachma that was revealed in the Geulah of Mitzrayim. He had it beyond that. He had this supernatural chachma that brought peace to the world. Shebakayach zeh kol chachmei hagoyim nisbatlu be'etzem legabi chachmas shloimei. Shelo al yedei milchama al kei nikra shloimei ki shloimei yabayim. What happened? How did he get peace in the world? Because he had nukes. He had so much chachma, he built nukes, and everybody was at peace because they were afraid of Shlomo. With this chachma, he built biological warfare, and everyone was afraid, and everyone made peace with him out of fear. No, he talked to the kings of the world. He talked to everybody, and they were like, "Whoa, you're for real. This is it. Here, take my daughter. Take my daughter. Here." They all gave him their daughters. That's how he married all these women, because all of the kings of the world, he just had to open his mouth and talk to them, chachma. And that chachma, just like the Mitzrim, it wasn't through chachma, right? It was through the pain and the suffering and all of that. They finally came to this thing, going, this is yours. This is yours. We will live with you in peace. Here, take all the gold and silver. This is yours. So Shlomo HaMelech, with his chachma, he was able to just get up and talk to the leaders, and they were like, it went in, and boom, we're at peace with you. You're it. You're it. There's no questions. We're at peace. Everyone's good. What you're saying makes so much sense. That's it. Imagine a leader being able to get up and speak to all the leaders, and they say, oh my gosh, wow, that's it. You're it. Wow, I've never heard anything like that before. That makes total sense. Here, we'll give you everything you need. We'll give you. We're here. We're your allies. We're not just your allies. We're your patronize. We'll patronize you. We'll give you what you need.
It was a projection of strength.
No.
No.
It was chachma. It was chachma. It wasn't chachma, I could beat you up because I'm so smart. It was chachma, and it spoke to them. It spoke to them. Again, Geulah is not about forcing anybody to do anything. It's not about who has a bigger gun. It's not about compelling anybody through force. The whole thing of Geulah is that it's muvan me'elav. The chachma that is the aleph in Geulah. That chachma, aleph chachma, I'll teach you chachma. That chachma is something that is self-understood, is just by it's chachma that anybody can hear and be like, whoa, that's it. We can put down our guns. We can put down our guns.
That's the coming of Mashiach.
Yeah. And so Shlomo, and that was the source of Shlomo's, the peace at Shlomo's time. It's Ka'ain Shlomo, right? The Rambam says he has to be from the house of David, the child of Shlomo. Why the child of Shlomo? Because Shlomo had this peace in his time when he was king that the Mashiach will have. How? What's the peace that Shlomo had? What generated the peace? Not weapons, not force, not aggression. Chachma. Chachma was what Shlomo had that generated peace. That people, at least what he says. Kol chachmei hagoyim, all the intelligent people of the goyim, nispatlu. It was just like, oh, okay. We don't have anything else to say. You have shown us that we don't know what we're talking about. You have shown us that we don't have the truth and that you do. We are so, it's so clear, and the chachma is so that obvious that they are just, whatever you say we'll do. That's what here's our daughter. And here is my daughter as a token of my appreciation of bringing this chachma to us and leading the world to what it really is, because we obviously didn't know. We don't know. Thank you for telling us, right? If we think the Mashiach is just gonna have big guns and he's gonna just kill everybody unless you listen to him, no, that doesn't seem to be what's going on. It's he opens his mouth, he talks, and everybody's like, yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, we'll turn over our weapons. We'll be with you. You tell us what. You tell us what to do. And there was peace in the world. Because what he's saying, Me'ein shleimus hashalom lasidavo. What's going to be in the future to come? Lo yoreu v'lo yashchisu ki mola haaretz dea. No one's going to bother anybody. No one's going to hurt anybody. Why? Ki mola haaretz dea. The world will be filled with knowledge, with das, with dea. Al derech haberu al yidei esek haTorah de chachma is beriru bebitul ora be'etzem kamei lo asid lavoy dechsiv v'ro kol baser bechinas ria de chachma v'yedu kol pol. We say that everyone's going to see it. They're going to see it with their eyes. It's going to be chachma. It's going to be some kind of a knowledge that will be seen with the eyes, that they will see it. It will be barer. It will totally it will evaporate the ra. The ra will evaporate from the emes of this chachma that will be expressed by the Mashiach, by the king. V'yesh loymar shezeno Geulah shleimus inyan hamalchus shelechein etzel shloma haisa malchus b'shleimus, and this is expressed through Shlomo. The Haishlam Malchus Shlomo V'yeshiv Shlomo al Kisei Hashem. Shlomo sat on the throne of. What would you put in that sentence? Shlomo sat on the throne of. What would you say?
Glory.
Glory.
King David.
On David's throne.
They,
What would you say? On the throne of God. King Shlomo sat on the throne of God. What?
Well, that's what glory is.
Okay, but it's saying it a little bit more in your face. He sat on the throne of God. B'matzav shel menucha v'shalom. In a situation, what does that mean? He sat on the throne of God. Menucha, rest. He was sitting there on the throne of God. He was. What do you mean? Who sits on the throne of somebody? Who sits on the throne of God? God sits on the throne of God. For crying out loud. Shlomo was sitting on the throne of God.
On God's lap.
He was the conduit. He was the conduit. And what was it? Menucha, rest, shalom, peace. Be'erech l'malchus David shaleh hayu katru. By David HaMelech, right? It was all wars and fighting, and he wasn't able to build the Mesa Mikdash because he was too much of a warrior. No. The Shlomo was a different vibe. The ilu zachu haisa malchus Shlomo. So we think of the Mashiach as David, Ben David. Well, who's Ben David? Shlomo. Shlomo's Ben David. So when we think of David as this warrior going out killing and slicing and maiming, no, that's not Mashiach. Mashiach is not fighting with and making people bleed all over the place and wars and bloodshed. That's not what it is. Okay, if Shlomo HaMelech would have been Zoicha, if that time would have been the right time, then the first base of Mikdash would have been forever, and it would have been Geulah Nitzchis. It would have been forever Geulah. There were things that weren't so great that got mixed in there. Korea Ekra Samamlocha. Hashem decided he had to take it away. There was some split, something happened, and then there was a Churban. There was the destruction of the base of Mikdash and Gullus. Okay. Okay. So this emphasis that the Rambam makes that the Mashiach is from Beis David and the seed of Shlomo, it's going to be a combo between the Milas of David, what was David, he was Malchus, Umilas Shlomo, Shalom. That together. It'll be the perfection of Malchus, Koilel Chachma Shiba Malchus, the Chachma of a Malchus, right? If you're interested in spheres over here, the Chachma Shiba Malchus, Kefi Shemizgala Alidei Geulah, and it will be through the exile. It'll be through the exile, not in spite of the exile. Not we got to kill the exile, we got to blow up the exile, we got to delete the exile. No, we have to reveal the exile. We have to reveal it. That's what the Shlomo, that's what the Chacham is. We have to reveal it. Putting the Aleph into that makes Geulah. V'nilcha lav Ruach Hashem, and it says by the Mashiach that the Ruach of Hashem will rest on him. Ruach Chachma Ubina, Ruach Eitza Ugvura, Ruach Das V'yiras Hashem. That is the Ruach that will rest on the Mashiach. These qualities, Chachma, Bina, Eitza, Gvura, Ruach Das V'yiras Hashem. Ki yadu sheMashiach yeh Hain Melech, Hain Rav. He'll be also a king and also a rabbi. V'yilamed kol ha'amin. He'll teach the whole people. Torah, koilel, haniflos shel Pnimius HaTorah, including the niflos, the pella, the ploim of Pnimius HaTorah, of Chasidus, of Pnimius HaTorah, which in our day is Chasidus. That is the third part of the Aleph. There is the Alufa Shalom, putting Hashem into Geulah, putting Hashem into the exile, and when we put Hashem as the focus, as the metal, as the entire power, right? Hashem levado, it's only Hashem. There's nothing else here. It's just Hashem. If I see anybody else, I'm in exile. When I just see that Hashem, it's here. It's all Him. He's the producer. He's the director. He's everything. Then that's that Aleph. Then there's the Aleph of Chachma, Aleph Chachma. When there's this Chachma that is able to that just pierces all of the darkness, all of the insanity and stupidity of the world, and pierces it where people are just like, boom, that's it, I got it. And then there's the Aleph of Pele. There's the Aleph of Pele, okay? So there are these three levels. He said it last week. The three levels. There's the Hashem in the world, according to the world. In the world, according to the world. In relationship to the world, in the world. That's seeing that everything in the world is really Hashem. Ein od milvado, Hashem levado. That's in the world, according to the world. Then there's the element of Hashem that's beyond the world, and that's the Chachma. That's Hashem beyond the world, but that we can still grasp. That's the Chachma that we don't really understand exactly what that Chachma is now, or how clear it will be, but that's the Chachma that's beyond this world, but at least we can relate to it. We can understand that it's Chachma, even though we can't understand how it happened, but we can understand that Chachma. It's beyond this world, and therefore will kind of fix the whole world. It's beyond the world, but we can connect to it. So that's the second level. The first level was in the world, related to the world. That's God in the world doing everything. Then there's this Chachma, which is outside of the world, but that we can still relate to. And then there's the third level, which is Pele, Aleph. Aleph is the same letters.
What's the difference between that and this?
Which?
The Pele?
I didn't say Pele yet.
Okay.
So Pele is completely beyond the world. We have no musag. We have no musag of how this is. So that is the Pele. Those are the ploim, the wonders that Hashem will do. That is this element of Geulah, which is we are encountering these ploim, these wonders that are, it shows how completely separate Hashem is, how completely beyond Hashem is, and that is it's not even in this world, and that's the Pele. And the Iker place, the Rebbi says, where those Pele is expressed is through the Torah. The Torah will break out of its shell that we've been living in with the Torah. We love the Torah, we love it, but there's a whole other element of the Torah that we're totally not aware of or connected to. And that is, we have Hasidus, Kabbalah, Hasidus, whatever. But there's a whole other level of Torah that will be revealed to us. This prophet Yeshaya says Torah Chadasha. It's not a new Torah, meaning no longer the Chumash. It's still the Torah that we received, but we're going to it's going to be effective and elicited and expressed in a totally new way. That they're going to be wonders that blow us away. The wonders from the Torah. The Torah will be that. We're as the Jewish people who are we think of Matan Torah, right? There's going to be like a new Matan Torah. But it seems like with Geulah, the Matan Torah won't be Hashem giving us a new Torah. It will be the Yidden. The Yidden will be giving the new Torah. The Jews will say over the Torah. We will say over these ploim. When we have this Chachma, when this Chachma is, when we see Alufa Shel Olam and we're mevatel ourselves, and we can connect to this Chachma that's beyond us, because that's what we get when we're mevatel ourselves, then we can learn the Torah, and we are bringing out these Pele Ploim, these wonders, that it's like, how did this happen? The only thing I can explain this, my little mind here, is that when I first became religious, why did I become religious? Why did I think the Torah was true? Because I read this book by Rabbi Kiva Tatz, Living Inspired. I don't know if anybody read that book, Living Inspired by Rabbi Kiva Tatz. And in it he goes through and he goes through very simple story, like the stories of the Chumash, and discussing ideas, very simple dimple ideas, happiness, smiling, laughing, sad, and he goes through living ideas, right? Living inspired. So that he goes through, but then shows through the gematrias and the sharashim, the roots in Hebrew and how the Hebrew language, the stories in the Chumash, how they're bringing out what the deeper meaning of these simple ideas are, of laughter, of sadness, of this, of that, of the other, whatever it is, that the gematrias and the roots were all linking up. It was all like, you can't make that up. People can't put that in there. It was, listen, I was at a very open place, but it was very, very clear to me that people could not have written the Torah. People could not have written it. You can't do that. You can't have those multi-layers and they be working out. Oh, and the gematria works out, and the root words, and it just happens to bring out this beautiful idea about laughter. Like beyond, nobody can plan for that. Nobody can put that in. Nobody, no group of people can put that in. And so it has to be that that's God. How he did that, we have no idea. It's a pella ploim. It's not even something we can understand. We can't even understand it, but it's a pella. It's a pella. And this is the Torah is going to unleash these ploim, these pella ploim, maybe like Torah codes, like we see that like everything in everybody's life is like mamish right there and works out and
What book is this?
the Torah.
No, the book you read.
Oh, Living Inspired. I'd be surprised if it wasn't here, isn't it? It's probably here. Yeah. And so that's the Pella. That's this third level of the ploim, the Pella ploim that are going to emerge from the Torah and us. These ploim that it's going to be like Hashem, beyond. We can't even relate to it. It's Hashem being completely nivdal, but it's something that we just see the wonder. Now, he goes through and actually discusses the kind of the historical development of this Torah. Okay, let's read this here. Now, since it is the case that by every single Jewish person, they can receive the revelation of Mashiach. We have a Moshe Rabbeinu inside of us. This Moshe Rabbeinu, everyone at the time he talks about it in chapter 42, that we have a Moshe Rabbeinu inside of us, that it's that element inside of us that if we do the work of Alufa Shalom, of seeing that Hashem is the only power, and how great and big Hashem is, and how amazing He is, and how we have no idea, that is what gives us the ability to have Emunah. That Moshe Rabbeinu in us gives us, it's there, we have to reveal it, we have to work on it, especially in this generation, we have to work on it and reveal it, but we can tap into it. Sometimes people need an hour a day, sometimes people could do it in 5 minutes, but every day we need to take some time to meditate on how great Hashem is, how He fills everything, how there's nothing else but Hashem, and that Moshe Rabbeinu, that's what we can then, that's what brings it down to our heart and to our feeling and to actually living differently with that reality. That's the Moshe Rabbeinu in all of us. We all have a nitzotz of Mashiach in us. It's going to be fulfilled in us. In us. Where's that said? I guess that's we say that in the davening. Malchus midos moichen ashayich lemidos moichen betzim. Okay, whatever that is. V'yesh loymar shezeu toichen a mishnah betchilas, and this is the mishnah where it says the last week Pirkei Avos, Ezu chacham, Ezu gibor, Ezu ashir, Ezu mechubed. Who's the rich person? Who's the wise person? Who's the rich person? Who's the strong person? Who's the honored person? And these are okay. Second. Okay, I just want to talk about Rebbi Shimon right now because this is the week of Hod, and we just had Lag BaOmer, and so he talks about Rebbi Shimon here. So I just want to go to that, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, Ali de Rebbi Shimon Bar Yochai Ahya Geulah Pnimiyas HaTorah. So this Pnimiyas HaTorah that is going to be the source of these ploim, of this wonder. Okay. The greatest revelation of whatever he brought to the world was on the day he died. Okay? And I heard Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg speak on Lag BaOmer, and he said that Lag BaOmer is the Matan Torah of Pnimiyas HaTorah. It's the Matan Torah of Pnimiyas HaTorah. The Matan Torah of Nigla, of the revealed Torah, is on Shavuos, But the Matan Torah of the secrets of Torah, the inner Torah, that is on Lag Bomer. Ad she'al yidei ksivas dvarim elu, when he wrote this, the Zohar, Hari is Geulah acher kach l'chol bnei Yisrael, is only revealed afterwards to Am Yisrael. Ad bofen is parnasun ba'avana v'asaga gilui b'chinas neflo shebetorah b'chacham b'bina das hascholam ein bedugma de gilui pnimius haTorah la'asi lavo. This revelation of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai of the Kabbalah to through the Zohar and through the generations and Hasidus, that is like the Ein Olam Haba. That's like La'asid Lavo, the Torah. Like the Gemara even discusses that there were different parts where the Torah was very inaccessible. The Torah was very inaccessible for hundreds and hundreds of years. It says, the Gemara says that Shlomo HaMelech, he came and he put handles on the Torah, like a pot needs handles. You can't really pick the pot up without the handles, okay? And the Torah was like a pot without handles, okay? For hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, maybe close to 1,000 years from when we got it. The Gemara describes that before Shlomo, the Torah was like a pot without handles. You couldn't really pick it up. So we knew Torah, we were living Torah, but it was it was like above us. You know, it was like we couldn't really get it. We couldn't get a handle on it. Quite literally, we didn't have a handle. Shlomo HaMelech, he added the handle. So we see there's a development of the understanding, the explanation and the internalization of the Torah until we are now in a place where the Torah is coming into psychology and our emotions and our somatic experience. Like we see that nowadays the Torah is so much more than the Torah was 100 years ago. The Torah wasn't speaking to us 100 years ago about. I mean, the Torah didn't change. But our ability to integrate the Torah into our body, into how we conceive of health, mental health, and psychological and physical, and the connection to Hashem beyond just putting on tefillin is right. I'm not making that up, right? That's just an observable fact. So that's been a process, and Shimon Bar Yochai and the writing of the Zohar, and that was a major event in Jewish history, in the development of Pnimius HaTorah, or in the revelation, I should say, of Pnimius HaTorah until today. B'noisef Lazar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai gam chiberes Pnimius HaTorah im nigla de Torah. He did the inside Torah with the revealed Torah. V'yesh lamar shebetar atzma nigla de Torah upnimius HaTorah gam derech achiluk bein aleph miloshen ulpana v'limud la'aleph osius pella. And this is what Rabbi Shimon brought, to connect the chachma of Torah to the pella of Torah. That the chachma of Torah, the revealed chachma, okay, this is the Torah, this is, the mitzvahs and the halachas and everything, and Rabbi Shimon connected it to the pella, and how this is like pella ploim, and how everything is mamish, will blow your mind. That he was able, through this power, to this revelation of godliness. What did Rabbi Shimon, what's the known thing that Rabbi Shimon taught? Kol makom shegalu, Shechina imam. Wherever the Jews are exiled, the Shechina is with them. Galu leBavel, Shechina imam. Galu leEdom, Shechina imam. Wherever the Jews were exiled, Hashem is with them. Tahainu shegam biyosim baBavel, but Geulah, in this exile, Yesham es hagilui da'alufa shel olam. There you can find the gilui of alufa shel olam. Don't think because you're in this difficult, depressing, negative matzav, you can't. That's it. Blame somebody because Hashem's not here. You might as well just give up. Hashem's not here. No, Rabbi Shimon says, no matter wherever you get to, Hashem is with you there. What does that mean, the Rabbi Shimon said, I can excuse the entire world from judgment. I have the power to excuse the entire world from judgment. You don't have to be judged with me here. Why? I can excuse the entire world. What does that mean? The world, the hiddenness, the distortion. Min hadin kol dinagos. I can show you that Hashem is here. When I show you that Hashem is here, it excuses the din. When you are in a difficult situation, when anyone is in a difficult situation, they feel pressure, they feel stress, they feel Hashem is really putting his thumb on them. By really saying that this is Hashem here, you're being mamtik at the din. You're saying, Hashem, I see you. I see you. You're trying to get me to get upset. You're trying to get me to blame things or become a victim. I see you, Hashem. I see you. You're doing this to me. You're doing this to me. I don't get it, but you're doing this to me. That's the koyach of Rabbi Shimon. That's the koyach of Rabbi Shimon. To see, no matter where you are at, to say, Hashem, you are here, and that redeems the situation. You don't. That takes the din away. That takes the harsh judgment away. By saying, Hashem, you're here. You're here. You're trying to hide behind my mother-in-law, behind God bless her, behind my wife, behind my kids, behind my bank statements. You're trying to hide. I see you. Don't think you can hide. I see you. And that's what it says. Hashem, Rabbi Shimon could excuse the whole world, the world that's hiding. I see you, Hashem, and that itself brings Geulah. So we should all be blessed and to see Hashem in our lives.